Hey, what's up? This is J.R. Martin, and I'm talking to you today about the engineer's apprentice. So, first off, I want to start by saying that we will be at um, Essence on the 4th of July weekend. So, come check us out. Um, we'll be there at the SoCo Market, selling books, signing books, doing what we can to just make you a fan, right? Um, but yeah, so in honor of that, I've been getting a lot of questions about some of the different stories. One of the coolest things, and I'll see if I can kind of mix it in here, a lot of people have been asking questions about a student's sin. So I'm working to see if I can get some printed copies. It's a novella, so it's going to be kind of short when it's printed. That's why I hadn't done it before. But a lot of people are saying, "Oh man, it sounds like a great story," and I want to read it, but I want to actually have a physical copy in my hand. And I'm like, say less. I'll figure that out. So I'm working on getting some physical copies together for people so you can pick them up at Essence and so that we can have them available for sale on the website. What that means? That means that I want to talk a little bit about the characters. And so, first, I'll start with Ahanti. And if you like this, if you like learning more about characters, this is something I'm going to be doing for all of my stories. I have a ton of characters I can talk about on a regular basis. Excuse me. So, first off, Ahanti. Um, what would be a great idea is if I actually had her information up already. But you'll find that with a lot of things that I do, there's meaning in the names. So if you look up some of the names that I use, there's meaning in there and it can actually inform you on the story. Um, so Ahanti is in multiple different languages. In some languages, it is means eternal or indestructible. Uh, in other languages, it can also mean warlike. So that's interesting. I like it when a name kind of means multiple things in multiple languages, and yet they all tie back together to who I'm writing the character to be. So that's number one. So Ahanti, she's warlike. What does that mean about the character? Well, read the book and find out. Nah. Ahanti is coming from a situation where her mother and little brother have been murdered. And her father is in jail for committing a crime, even though she knows he's innocent. But nobody believed her when she was actually saying, pleading the case and saying that the father was innocent. What she described was impossible to the normal person. But in this world, we're talking about the hallowed, and the hallowed are a little bit different in the way that they use their gifts. And in this world, nobody actually knows that the hallowed exist except for the other hallowed. So you have people out here who are doing things that are improbable and impossible to the normal person, but to others, it's, to the hallowed, it's a normal thing. So Ahanti's mother and little brother were killed. Her father was framed, and she's been left an orphan. And her biggest thing is that she wants to get revenge. Now, that's as far as I'm going to go into this story about that. But I just wanted to tell you a little bit about who Ahanti is. That she's a warrior. She has a warrior spirit. She's trying to figure out herself and who she is. Very much a coming of age story, albeit a very quick one. The other cool thing about Ahanti is that she has synesthesia. So through the story, she actually ends up having something kind of trigger her synesthesia into going into overdrive. What does that mean? Read the story and find out. But Ahanti synesthesia goes into overdrive, and that becomes a skill that she can use to help her find her revenge. But will she choose revenge? Who knows? So that's one piece of that. So that's a little bit about Ahanti. As far as her personality, she's brash, she's loud, she's got a little bit of an attitude. She's somber because she's just had a major tragedy hit her in life with the death of her family and the incarceration of her father. So she's got a lot of things going on. So, I imagine that if this thing had never happened to her, this situation as detailed in the story, Ahanti would have been a very outspoken, overly boisterous, very brash woman. But she's been tempered as a child because of these tragedies she's having to deal with. So she's still brash, and you still see that in her attitude and her story, but she's also more willing to take chances because she doesn't know what she has left to lose in this life. Because in her mind, everything has been taken from her. And she doesn't, if everything has been taken from her, what else does she have? And so part of this story is also about her rediscovering a reason to continue to live, right? Trust me, it's in there. Yeah, so that is Ahanti. A little bit about her and her synesthesia and some of the things that are going on with her. Now, ask me why I wrote a story about someone with synesthesia. Well, I heard about it and I thought, wouldn't it be interesting? How do you build a story around somebody who has synesthesia? A human being with the ability, what is synesthesia? You can hear colors, you can smell colors. So the question was, how do you build a story around somebody with synesthesia? And it took a little while, but after a few iterations, I was able to come up with something that I think does it justice and also does the character justice. And I think you'll see that it's an integral part of who Ahanti, not Ashanti, Ahanti is. So, and some people be like, well, why didn't you call her Ashanti? Google keeps renaming her to Ashanti. Well, I didn't call her Ashanti because, like I said, I wanted the name to have a meaning. And what is Ashanti? Ashanti, and I'm looking it up right now, actually. What does Ashanti mean as a name? Thank you. Thank you. So there you go. So that's interesting. So yeah, sorry, I just was looking it up. That's actually very interesting. So Ashanti means thank you, and Ashanti, she's not thanking anybody. Ahanti, she's trying to live up to her name. So that's what's going on with Ahanti in that story. So it's real quick, real brief, real, like read the book. But just a quick synopsis or summary, like a little character profile of who Ahanti is. Now, if you were to ask me, hey, do you do a character profile for all your characters? So when I was at Comic Palooza, a couple of writers asked me this, and I'll tell you right now, yes. When I write stories, I make sure that I kind of have an idea of what I want the plot to be. But then, even though I may know what the plot is, I know where I want the midpoint to be. I know where I want the ending to be. And then I'm like, what character will get there? Right? And that's how I do the first book. Any of my first books, it's like, what character will get there? What kind of person needs to be dropped into the situation to kind of hit these beats? And then I start kind of creating these character profiles based on that. And then I'm like, okay, is that person interesting? No? Okay, then let me change some of the personality traits. And then maybe I have to shift the beats a little bit of the story. And so by creating a personality profile, but also understanding where I want to go by the end of the story, I'm able to kind of find this synergy where you get this unique individual who drives the story forward because their personality dictates that this is the way it has to be. And something I read recently as a writer that I think makes perfect sense. we can all do we all can choose to do something improbable, right? We all can make choices to do something that is highly unlikely. Ooh, tongue tied. For instance, I could choose right now to hop in my car and drive to Oklahoma and go gambling. I could do that. But am I going to do that? Of all the things and who I am as a person, is that something that I'm going to do right now at this very moment when I know I have to go to work and I have other responsibilities and I'm trying to get some writing done after this video? Answer to the question is probably not. It's probably not going to be something that I end up doing. But it's an option. And why you want a character profile is so you can understand of the, infinite number of things that your character can do at any given moment. What are the 5 to 8 things that actually make sense they would do that allows your character to remain consistent? And of those 5 to 8, which one is the most interesting to the story? Does that make sense? Which one is the most interesting to your story? If you know which one of those things is most interesting to your story and actually can help you hit your beats in your plot and what you're trying to do in your story, then you have found the right choice for your character. Always choose the most interesting one, or the second most interesting one if it gets you where you need to go. You don't want to choose the most interesting one, then all of a sudden paint yourself into a corner. You want to choose the one that makes sense to get you where you need to be at the end of the story. Also, while you're doing that, if you plan on it being series, see if any of those decisions that are made can inform on the next book. That's how I do it, at least. So yeah, there's my 2 cents, a little bit about me and my process. So take it easy, and I'll holler at you later. Peace.